Hello and welcome to this very special podcast of LawWiser. Today, I have some of the most well-known GCs of India with me, and I actually call them GCs in public service, and they actually need no introductions, but still, I would do the introductions. Um, I have with me Dr. Akhil Prasad, General Counsel, Boeing, and Dr. Sanjeev Gemawat, the General Counsel, SR Group, and they are also the people behind General Counsel Association of India. We will be talking about their journey, the journey of GCAI, and a lot of initiatives that they have begun and they became overnight success. And we will also be talking about the latest on GC's recognition. So let's start the podcast. Um, Welcome to this podcast,
Thank you.
LawWiser,
Thank you
Akhil and
very much.
Sanjeev. Thank you so much for being here today. Uh, GCI has been working now for a couple of years. Um, what was the thought behind starting GCAI? What are the gaps that you people actually noticed that you wanted to actually fill, and how has been the journey so far?
Well, Aman, thank you very much for having us here. Um, um, I think inviting us to this show in itself suggests that GCs are getting the recognition. And that was exactly the reason why we conceptualized General Counsels Association of India. This issue always bothered us that we are lawyers, we are advocates, but our parent body, which should have recognized us as advocates, they don't recognize us only for the simple reason that we are in employment. And this anomaly was there in only this professional institute, which is Bar Council of India. This anomaly you will not find in any other professional institute, whether it be Institute of Chartered Accountants of India or Institute of Company Secretaries of India, and so on. So that particular issue, that why, what for, I'm not being recognized as an advocate only because I joined a private sector or I joined corporate sector. I think that was the issue which was always in our mind. And that was exactly the reason why we conceptualized General Counsels Association of India a few years back. But as the journey began, we have been successful in taking some of the initiatives, including to the extent that the Government of India, Ministry of Law and Justice, last year came out with the legislative amendments, though for whatever reasons that has been withdrawn. But then that particular bill, that particular amendment was proposing that recognition. But as the journey began a few years back, we also realized that we need to do something else as well on the legal reforms, on a skill development of lawyers, and so on, and largely to cater to the economic world or the economic realities, present day economic realities of India, and not only India, all over the world. And so that was the idea. And you will notice that some of the initiatives which we have taken, they are being acknowledged and recognized not only in India, throughout the world, and people are joining hands with us. So we can deliberate on those issues as well. But this is how we started that journey. Okay.
You want to add something, Akhil?
Yeah, so I can start with a short story, and that story was thanks to one of the conferences that I was attending, and I was speaking at that event. So that when I was sitting on the dais, so there were five people. I was one. Then there was a High Court judge. I will not take the name, and there were three advocates, from respective law firms. And the honorable judge of the High Court, she introduced me, and she said, the interesting aspect of this panel is that Akhil is the only non-lawyer.
Wow.
So that triggered something inside me.
So that happened before GCAI or after that?
Yeah, immediately after we had set up GCI.
Around the same
Around
time.
the same time.
Okay.
And then, I could not resist. And I said at the panel, I said, Madam, you are absolutely right. But I must tell you that you are a judge. You have a specialization of dealing with a kind of, cases. I am a general counsel. I deal with all laws. I have the same law degree as you have. But you are technically correct that I am not a lawyer. So that was the reason it triggered to us. And then, Aman, we were part of a lot of forums. And India has a lot of these forums who do these conferences and events. And we used to go everywhere and we said to them that let's have a charter. Let's do something for the benefit of the general counsels. So everybody said, yes, 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 yes. We should do this, we should do that. Lot of talk. But in terms of action, we only ended up doing events and conferences. And we still have, a people in the room, 100 people in the room, GCs, all of them getting an award. So we thought that this is not something we should be doing. We should do something more constructive. So what we thought that GCAI should stand for three things, and the three underprivileged. And why I call them underprivileged, because nobody is talking about them. The first, of course, is the GC. So as Sanjeev said, GCA is not a lawyer. We are not recognized under the Advocates Act, which is of 1961. So all of us like to use the smartphones today. We don't want to use the old phone. We don't want to use an ambassador or a Fiat. We want to ride fancy cars today, but we want to use the Indian Advocate Act, which is of 1961. And we do not want to change it because nobody is thinking about these three underprivileged, which is a general counsel.
Yeah, I'll just stop you here.
Okay.
I know that, I mean, it's a thought process that
Yeah.
you're presenting, but when you call general counsels underprivileged, it looks like that general counsels are the most privileged people. They are being invited everywhere, they are being awarded everywhere. So why do you say general counsels are underprivileged?
See, so the 9 founders of GCI plus 21 members, total 30 people, at least we believe that this is a false sense of security. So you may be recognized, you get an award, but what is the difference between you and the person sitting next to you in a 100-seater room and everybody is getting an award? So I think that's the anomaly, and that's what gives them a false sense of security. So the GC is the underprivileged, I believe, because we are not lawyers. The second is foreign firms. So when we are talking about these Viksit Bharat 2047, will we be able to do justice to that vision by a law which is of 1961? So the 1961 law has to have amendment because the world has changed. As we say, a lot of water has flown in the Ganga.
Yeah.
So that thing has to be very, very clear that GCs today do vast amount of transactions. And if you don't recognize that as legal work, it is a underprivileged. So foreign firms is the second. So second bucket is this foreign firms, because you need to have foreign partners in India. You need to have international. So Sanjeev and I, we are GCs. Are we restricted to a geography? The answer is no. I can deal with foreign issues. He can deal with foreign issues. But a typical advocate will only say, I only know Indian law. So that foreign firm entry to India is very, very critical. The third thing is the underprivileged is the student. Nobody is looking at the future. The students are our future. What about their skilling and internship? So law firms do their bit, but corporate sector does not, practically very little. And that's why we believe students should be the center. So the three underprivileged is what GCI is talking about, is how we see about GCI.
Yeah. So, I mean, then I think you people have truly, taken up this issue, and not only me, but I think everybody, has been watching you people doing things one after the other. Particularly, I've seen you people doing tremendous amount of work for the student community. There's a lot of participation of foreign law firms in the things that you do, and at the same time, of course, advocacy for your own community of general counsels, and that's why I called you general counsels at public service, even though you belong to the private entity. Now tell me, across all these things, what have been the main achievements so far? I mean, what are the high points that you wanted to actually talk about here?
Well, Aman, I think our journey has been very, very successful, and for multiple reasons I am saying so. first time ever in the history of Indian legislative, uh, you know, um, proposals or discussions, government is inviting us. We are having discussions with the government. Government is very, open, receptive in terms of proposing amendments, and they want to have that inclusive kind of, environment in the legal ecosystem. So I would say that at least our voice is being heard by the government, particularly the Ministry of Law and Justice. I think it's a big achievement. But largely, if you notice, the some of the events which have become not only very, very popular and famous in not only in India, all over the world, is a series on the Nyaya Nirman. And our series on Nyaya Nirman, every time we are coming out with the new issues. And all those new issues are basically, and the way in which we look at those issues are that these would be the foundations of the legal ecosystem
Just tell
in
me
the
about
times to
one or
come.
two issues that you've picked up.
So first, our series on the Nyaya Nirman, the first was in January. In 1st January, we have
2025,
2000,
31st January.
31st January 2025, where our theme was rethink. And the rethinking was in terms of overall legal ecosystem, which was the justice delivery system, which was in terms of issues on pendency of cases, issues on the use of technology, and also a broader theme also in terms of whether we have the right infrastructure to cater to our aspirations of Viksit Bharat. A second series was also in continuation of that, and where we have not only continued with these agenda items, but then we have also introduced those very issues which the fundament or those very issues when I say that the fundamentals of law today on which the business world is acting, these are codified laws, but then those codified laws are irrelevant in the today's context, because what was codified 100 years back, the courts are not interpreting those laws in the same manner. The interpretation is drastically different, and at times those interpretations are not in line with the global standards, the way in which the business world conducts its business. So I think so which include the law on indemnity, for example, which include the law on damages, and we believe and strongly believe that these issues need significant reforms in the times to come. So those were our second item. Our third item today in this series on 11th of September this year, we are again having one, Nyaya Nirman series, and there also we would be looking for the legal reforms agenda. Largely, all these agendas are in terms of creating a legal ecosystem which should be judicious, which should be for the societal goods, and which should be largely for the benefit of the business world. Let's not forget, Aman, that we are working in a global world. Today, as an organization, we operate in almost all jurisdictions. And today, and that's the reason why we are strongly taking up this agenda, that somewhere we need convergence of legal ecosystem. So that is one series. Then our second series is, and which is a follow up on this main theme, is skill development. Do we have the best of the law colleges here in India, the 5-year degree colleges, but then do we have the right skill? Do we developed the right kind of students? And that is the reason why we have formalized this Yukti program, and
I'll
our
just
Akhil can focus on that
I'll
on
just
the
stop
Yukti.
you here before we actually get on to Yukti. The Nyaya Nirman thing, I have a follow-up question on that. So, what is it that you're looking at? I mean, deliberations have happened, and I think most of the stakeholders agree with the changes that are definitely required for 2047 Viksit Bharat. What are the concrete changes on ground that you are seeking to achieve?
Well, look, but let's accept one reality. We are in a democratic system. So the process of change and process of change is slow at times.
That's fine.
Okay. And so, but then the question here is that whether we are raising our voices at the appropriate level, whether people are listening and acknowledging, whether people are are keen to make those changes and amendments. And you will notice the kind of people who are attending events on Nyan Nirman, they are very candid, they are very open, and they feel and they emotionally feel that no, we cannot have a society with 100 years old, legislative framework. So I think that is how we are taking it, progressively. Personally, I believe that if we raise 100 issues and even I achieve 2% of that, I think I have achieved my purpose, because I also strongly believe that this present system is not only inadequate, it is inefficient. It is not catering to the business world. And people who matter and people who are part of this legal ecosystem, except a few, they do not have any clue what the business world is all about. They do not know what kind of legislative changes are happening all over the world. These are very limited and little knowledge, and that is how we want to impart this knowledge as well. Yeah.
So are you also documenting some of those things, the recommendations and all of that, and making representation to
Undoubtedly,
relevant bodies?
undoubtedly. In fact, whatever discussions are happening, everything is getting documented word by word, and those representations are being made to the Government of India, Minister of Law and Justice, Minister of Corporate Affairs, and people who matter who can raise those voices. So we want that more and more people should be joining these initiatives, and I'm very thankful to some of the foreign law firms who have completely supported this idea. And in terms of both our initiatives, Nyaya Nirman as well as Yukti, in terms of those changes, not only in the obsolete legislations, but then also how the professional would be evolving in the times to come. For example, let us talk on this, the convergence of the legal ecosystem. We strongly believe that today we are not in a world where different jurisdictions would have different legal ecosystems. As an organization, if I'm operating in India, on one document, the same document is being interpreted or constituted in some other jurisdiction, which might be a civil law jurisdiction. So somewhere, if from a precedent standpoint, we are changing our codified law, then why not to have those changes and convergence somewhere, whereby at least those countries or those jurisdictions where we are having a continuous flow of commerce and trade, there we should be having our legislative framework in line with that, or their legislative framework in line with our framework. I'm not saying that we are not good in some area, we might be good in some areas, but then somewhere convergence of legal ecosystem should happen. And I just want to mention before I just conclude on this, in that series, we had on 5th of June a conference, a dialogue in London as well, and where there is on a Friday, on 5th of June, there was a large participation by people who matter, including the Attorney General of England and Wales, and where we talked on these system. In fact, Mr. Philip Wood, Lord Christopher, all those people who are the part of the broader legal ecosystem, they were there, and then there was a common voice. The common voice was that yes, global trade and commerce need this kind of a structure. So this is how I take it. Yeah.
Perfect, sir. Thank you so much for being here, and all the very best to General Counsel Association of India and all its initiatives in future. So that was Dr. Akhil Prasad and Sanjeev Gemawat with us on this very special podcast of LawWiser. Stay tuned, and we will be bringing in more insights from them in future on the developments that happen at GCAI. Thank you.
Thank you very much.